What is up, guys? It is Wood, and let's check out this new champion, shall we? This is going to be the fusion for, I'm assuming, the beginning of next week. It could be a week later. I don't think it's been announced, but yeah, Mavara, the Web Diviner. This champion looks quite good. It's a little frustrating that we have two Dark Elf Revivers back to back, but I think they actually play like pretty significantly different roles, so I'll let you guys know what I mean by that once we cover the kit. But look at her. She looks a bit different, like most of the other champs you get in this game. I don't know what it is. I don't know. She looks actually showered. Like half the champions in this game look like they haven't taken a shower. But yeah. So we'll start with the A1 because I think this is the most interesting part of her kit. Right, attacks when enemy places a fervor buff for 2 turns on a random ally except this champion. If the random ally is already under fervor, places it on another randomly selected ally. Well, this is good. I don't think she's going to be getting this off too often. I imagine you're only going to have one ally with fervor on per time she gets back around to the skill, and then it's going to place it on one. So you're never really going to have more than one ally unless you're running like Relentless or something. Which maybe you'll get 2 up, or some sort of debuff buff extension rather, to keep the fervor buff going. But this is the interesting part, the passive effect. Allies under fervor have a 50% chance of joining attacks of other allies under the fervor buff. This champion will not join in any attacks. If there are multiple champions on the team with this skill, only one will activate. This skill will not activate on duplicate copies of this champion if this particular champion is dead. So essentially, this is kind of like giving your whole team Garrel's passive, right? I believe it's 50%. It could be higher now. They buffed it. I think it's 50% for her to join in on any attack, right? And we already know that Garrel's passive is really strong. So putting this on your whole team is kind of crazy. One thing to note about this A1 as well is that it will activate on ally attacks. So if you're running like a Mikage in your team or something, she'll get more of these off. But I'll talk about a better way we can get this fervor buff. You know what, I'll talk about it now. So there is the relic called the Hallowed Hilt. I'll bring it up for you in just a sec. So I actually pulled one of these recently. I have it on my Arbiter. So essentially what it does is whenever an ally is healed with an active skill, and this is important, with an active skill, a chance to place fervor, right? And this chance I've lost it. There it is. This chance goes up to 25 to 100%, sorry, a 50% chance. Speed main stat is a pretty good relic, but it's mainly used as like a stat stick, right? But we could use this as like as a way to apply fervor more consistently. It is only 1 turn, however, so you're going to have to put this on a champion that places heals like pretty much on every single skill they use. So going back to Mavara, the reason why I say it's probably best not to put this on Mavara is because her primary heal is on her passive, I believe. Yeah, for every 16 buffs this champion and allies receive, heal all allies for 20% of their max HP. So because this is passive, it won't work with the Hallowed Hilt. So you can't just put Hallowed Hilt on this character and just run her with it to keep fervor up more often. It's just unfortunately not going to work that way. She does have a Equalize HP skill, so I'm not sure how that works with the Hallowed Hilt. I don't know if equalizing HP counts. I suppose it does count as a heal, so this could activate it, but this one doesn't. Her A3 doesn't have a heal on it. But let's talk about the rest of her skills quickly before we talk anymore. Places a strengthen buff and a 50% resist buff on all allies for 2 turns. Also equalize the HP of all allies. The HP of all allies brought up to the level of the highest HP. So equalizing HP can actually be quite powerful, especially if you build one of your champions. It doesn't have to be this champion. One of your champions is extremely tanky. So the HP is usually like much higher than the rest of your team. And if they have a higher max HP, it's going to be a massive heal, right? So this actually can be quite a decent heal. And then we've got Webs of Whisper. Oh, the Webs Whisper, not Webs of Whisper. Is there supposed to be an apostrophe there? The Webs Whisper. I feel like that's a typo. Anyway, revives an ally, 50% HP, 50% turn meter, 3 turn cooldown, single ally. This is pretty standard. I mean, epics get this. Yeah, I think Rectic Giraffe has a similar one. It might even be better. But then places Perfect Veil on all allies except for this champion for 2 turns. Also places Unkillable buff on this champion for 2 turns. These buffs will be placed even if no allies were revived. So this can be quite a useful skill. Perfect Veil champions are very difficult to come by. The easiest one to get is a Rector Drath, and even hers isn't very consistent, especially if your team isn't like particularly tanky. So the Rector Drath's Perfect Veil only works if your team is fully healed by her A2. So if your team isn't fully healed by her A2, she won't place the Veil and she'll place Continuous Heal instead. So it's not very consistent. I think this is the first Veil champion, full team Veil champion we've had that's accessible via Fusion or via Guarantee for a while. So I think most people should be picking her up just purely for this AoE Perfect Veil on a 3-turn. It's just good. The Unkillable buff can be a bit of a liability in places like Hydra, especially if you're not building resistance, but since you have Strengthen and Increase Resist, I think you're going to be okay. I don't think this is going to get stolen. If you build her with a little bit of resistance, you'll be alright. We don't really care about Unkillable being stolen into stuff like Chimera or anything like that, right? Because you can't kill the clan bosses. But the Hydra heads you can decapitate, and I believe Unkillable stops it from decapitating. So that's a problem. So yeah, that's a pretty decent kit overall. She's going to make your team very tanky. You can build resist teams a lot easier with this 50% increased resist. In fact, it's very important for like high-end Chimera teams. She's going to heal you a ton because every 16 buffs that this champion and their allies receive heals all allies for 20% of the max HP. So say you have 5 champions on your team, they all get 2 buffs, then from like one single skill, like this one, for example, strength and increase resist, that's going to be 10 buffs total, right? And you only need to place, 2 more buffs or 1 more buff, depending on, if any of your teammates self-buff, and then bam, you get 20% max HP. This doesn't sound like much, but if you think about like Mad Hatter, for example, Mad Hatter's a similar one where like it's based on the amount of turns your team takes. He gives your team a big heal. It's very similar, but this one is like for buffs. And you're going to be placing buffs constantly throughout fights, so you're just going to get so much healing from her. I think she's going to be really good at keeping your team alive, especially with the AoE damage protection from Perfect Veil. I think it's 15% damage reduction on AoE attacks from Perfect Veil, as well as the Strengthen, which is 25%, plus this Fervor buff, which if you get it, it's a 10% damage reduction. She's giving your team a bunch of damage reduction, so she's kind of crazy. Now this second, well, I guess it's listed as the first part of her passive. For every 8 buffs the enemy receives, increased turn meter for all allies by 20%. This could be quite cool in Arena. I'd have to see testing on it. 8 buffs, so like you have 4 champions on the other team, they only need to get 2 buffs. The entire team gets a 20% turn meter fill. I think that's pretty strong. It sounds pretty strong. If you put someone, like if you have a Fabian on your team with Mavara in there, and you have him in Supersonic, maybe Temporal Chains or something, you're just going to cut in every single time, because this is an entire full team turn meter boost. I think Noel Dua's one is similar, but hers is just for herself. So she just seems like better than Noel Dua without the strip. It's interesting. I think she's like she supports your team better than Noldua does. So I think this is a better champion than Noldua, and I think if you haven't built your Noldua yet, go for this fusion and build her first. She's going to keep your team alive better, and she's another reviver, right? Noldua's reviver is better. It's a 4-turn AoE, but then it doesn't have this like secondary passive effect of keeping her alive, most importantly, and it's also putting Perfect Veil on your champions. The aura is also incredible, by the way. 28% in arena battles is like nearly some of the best you can get. Like I think the best non-void legendary one is going to be 30%, and that's like Arbiter and I think what is his name? The bomber. Got Shazar? Is it Shazar? He has like a 34% arena aura, but the standard is about 30%, like Wukong, Arbiter for like the really big ones, right? So that's pretty close to it, and you can't really do much better. So unless you're counting mythicals, of course, like Theodosia's got crazy aura. But there you go. I think she's a really strong champion. I would run her. I imagine I would run her with a secondary healing champion that's not on a passive, to place this fervor buff with one of their skills. I'll go look through my champion collection right now to see if I have any that would like make sense. Now, a good question is, does this I don't actually know if the Hallowed Hilt works with something like continuous heals, because that could be interesting. I don't know that, but I'd say for me I would probably put a Hallowed Hilt on if I get a second one, put it on Androck, you know, he puts continuous heal. Hopefully that works with it, and then he has a heal on his A2, right? So he's going to be doing a lot of like healing over time. I hope it works with continuous heal. That's a really interesting question. I'm tempted to move my relics around to test it, but I don't have any Starstone. I would test it for you guys, but I don't have any Starstone. But yeah, you know what? I'm going to look it up right now. I'll give you 1 sec. So after looking it up, no, it does not work with continuous heal. But I think like Donatello is still a good option, right? Because he has the heal on his A1, and he's always doing ally attacks, right? So he's going to be placing fervor on your whole team every time he ally attacks. I believe the relic does require you to actually heal some health, so your team does have to actually take damage. But you know, when is your team not taking damage into places like Chimera, right? So yeah, I mean, a good option for the Hallowed Hill to keep that fervor buff up and like use that passive from. It's like an active skills passive, her A1 active skill passive. They really need to get better at naming these things, but you know, this thing here, the passive effect of the active skill on a her A1, right? This will work with other fervor abilities. So I think Donatello is a really good option. He's very good in PvE in general, so he's not exactly going to be a like a champion you don't want to slot in. So I think if you run this guy with, I don't know, like a Michelangelo or something for any sort of content you're using this for, like Michelangelo's great in Demon Lord, for example, or in Chimera. He's got some good debuffs. He's not crazy good in Chimera, but he's pretty decent. You've got, if you're using Leonardo as your damage dealer, where's my Leo? I was kind of about this. If you're using Leo, where's my Leo? There he is. If you're using Leo, you could use Leo and Mikage, right? So you could do like ally attacks with what is her name? I keep forgetting her name. Is it Mavara? Yeah, Mavara. You could do ally attack to get Mavara's fervor buff up, plus also Donatello will place a 1 turn with the Hallowed Hill, and then you can sort of like run it from there, right? So sounds like a decent team to me. I'm not really sure exactly how she's going to slot in. You'll have to wait for the test server access stuff. But you know, I think it's a really cool ability. Do not underestimate this sort of stuff, like this like passive ally attack stuff, right? Like Mikage, Pallas has it, Garrel's passive. These things are generally pretty strong. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. But that'll be it for today. I don't really have much else to say on this champion. I think she's going to be good. I think she's worth picking up for everyone. And even if you don't like the champion and you think, I'm just going to stick with Noldua for my faction wars reviving, still pick her up purely because of the system for the tokens, right? If you're early game enough that you want to skip fusions, you probably want to do them anyway, where you get this these tokens, right? Because then you can get yourself a Wixwell, right? I mean, I want to do that for Wixwell as well, right? Why is this like this? Token trader? Huh? Why is there a dot on my token trader? I've never seen that before. Weird. Anyway, that's what we got. Chef just asked in the chat. So for a mixed fusion, what should I be hoarding? You want to be hoarding. You want to be hoarding potions, right? Because you gotta ascend your champions. So I'd say like 20 of each type for a mixed fusion, right? I think that sounds about right. You always want to be high stocked on these white potions, but 20 of each type sounds about right to me. Go in with about 500 gems, about 15,000 silver. You can get away with less if you're farming all the events. Sorry, I've got hiccups. You know, make sure you've got all the things you usually get. Shards, you're going to want like 6 or 7 sacred shards. 6 or 7 sacred shards. It's not going to be a void 2x because we're just having one right now. So there's very low chance it's going to be voids. It's either going to be ancients or sacreds. Hopefully it's not sacreds. Hopefully it's ancients. I don't really know because the schedule's been all screwed up. But prepare yourself some fragment fusions, some relic keepers, and broadmoors. Right. Be ready to like bare minimum the champion chase if it's not 2x ancients, but hopefully it is 2x ancients. But yeah, I'll leave it there. I'll see you guys in the next one.